I did that. I did.
How did you dress when you had to
modest?
Like covered the arms?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and
You
skirt.
didn't show up like this?
No. No.
Which ones did you attend?
Aish and the Chabad one.
How long were you in there?
In Aish?
Yeah.
I guess a couple hours. Spent time there,
And the Chabad?
and the Chabad one, a couple hours. Yeah, that one's in Mea Shearim, so.
You didn't want to like go for 2 weeks?
Well, I couldn't stay in them. They sort of gave me a tour and ushered me out.
You didn't want to stay in a yeshiva for 2 weeks?
Oh, well, you mean like a women's yeshiva?
Yeah.
When I was there, when I was in college and I spent a semester there, I spent time in women's yeshivas and I had a learning partner and everything, so. But,
You actually lived in a
No.
women's yeshiva? No.
I never did.
What high school program did you do?
Young Judea. Did you do one?
I did Alexander Mass, so I lived there for 4 years, 4 months.
Oh, okay.
I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
In Photoshop, which was really nice.
Yeah. So much fun.
I was down to ask, are you a Leonard Cohen fan?
I am. But we had the same inspiration. It wasn't that I was inspired by his title. In fact, I didn't even know until people started asking me. Who by Fire is a Leonard Cohen song. That's what he's referring to. But I didn't even know until people asked me that he had a song called Who by Fire. But actually, he and I had the same inspiration because the title comes from a prayer. So.
Which is funny. This was actually the first year that I really noticed that prayer, but prior to reading the book.
Oh, really?
And then when I got your book, I was like, I know what the title is.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time in your life where you thought that prayer was true?
True in that if you
God decides.
if you're inscribed.
Yeah,
What
or
is
if you're
the
going to
prayer?
die.
The prayer it's a litany of ways that one might die in the coming year if one is not inscribed in the book of life. So.
Who by fire, who by strangler,
Yeah.
drowning.
Yeah.
Cheery.
Did I think it was?
Was there ever a time in your life where you thought that was true, where God decided that Rosh Hashanah, those 10 days of awe, that with you'd live or
I
die
don't
for
think
the
my
next year?
convictions, one way or the other, have ever been particularly strong. You know.
I mean, doesn't it strike you as absurd, though? God's going to decide in these 10 days whether you live or die for the next year?
What was
You
the
know,
question?
does it seem ridiculous or absurd? I mean, I think if you believe it, you believe it. You know, I think if you believe the tenets of Judaism, you're going to believe it.
But it's like it's hard to be just agnostic on that one. It's like either it's absurd or it's...
But that's with all religions, I
Like
imagine.
the
You
Yeah.
either take it all or you take none.
Yeah, but...
Noah's Ark. I mean, it's all a little ridiculous.
Yeah, isn't it ridiculous,
Unless
or is
you
it?
believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you believe it, it's not ridiculous.
Right.
So it's hard to be parv on it.
Right. I don't
But
think
you're
so. I don't
saying
think it's
you're
any
parv.
harder. Yeah, I don't think it's any harder to be parv, as you say, on this issue than it is on any other. No, I mean, I think it's possibly ridiculous or possibly true. You know.
Where does that idea in Judaism come from? Does it come from Judaism? Does it come from Zoroastrianism or something
What?
else?
Which one? The
Just
belief.
the idea that this particular God of the Old Testament is very harshly judgmental and seems to do things almost willy-nilly.
Well, so I guess that's the answer, that it is in the Old, it's in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to if you interpret it that way, then yeah. So is this your friend? Hi,
So confused.
I'm Diana.
This is my cousin.
It's nice to meet you. Yeah.
I just feel like the book's more about family than it's about religion.
The book.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Like, I feel like you could substitute any religion in there and it would be the same thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, like, what you take away from it, if you do have, like, a crazy family, there's a lot of ethnic people kind of have, like, very involved
Yeah.
mothers or, like, very, like, crazy, whatever. That's what I took more from it.
Yeah.
Was the family relationships and the sort of, like, disdain and love you can have for your sibling. Well, you know, you expect so much from them, and
Yeah.
you're like angry with them and love them more than anything in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was writing a family story before I was writing the Jewish story. So,
Right.
I mean, I think the themes hopefully are universal or resonant in a universal way. Because really, to me, it's a story about rescue. It's a story about guilt. And it's a story about family bonds before it's anything else.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Did you have an experience of trying to rescue that backfired, that contributed to?
I think many times probably, and I think that we all do, because I think what happens is you'll start to think that somebody needs rescuing, and I think really what that means is you want that person to be more like you or more like society or more capable of fitting in some way, and you think that it's for the good of that person, but it's sort of a form of narcissism. And I think maturing, growing up and gaining some kind of maturity or insight allows you to see that for what it is. Because if somebody's not asking to be rescued and you're offering rescue, you sort of have to question your own motives, I think.
Do you see like people drowning, and do you feel driven to rescue, or
I've never seen someone drown.
I mean, not literally drown.
Oh, it's like struggling. Yes, I do, and I think it's not everybody's, but I think many people feel compelled to fix especially when you see a friend take a bad turn, or what you consider to be a bad turn. It can be, or somebody close to you, it can be really difficult to not give in to the tendency to try to fix it.
What's the difference between having a narcissistic need to rescue and being your brother's keeper?
So the difference between narcissism and altruism?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that altruism probably, requires some level of narcissism. I think maybe that's cynical, but
I think narcissism, though, always comes back to the person. So it's like, it has a boomerang effect. So they'll save somebody to make sure they look good.
Mm-hmm.
But altruism is they save someone because they care about the other person. It has nothing to do with themselves.
But don't you think that a lot of charity, it's not totally selfless? I don't know.
Well, there's an element with egoism, right? Sort of, you do things not because you want to help other people, but because it makes you feel good. That is the essence of egoism, which is also very narcissistic, right? But there are certain people on this earth that are a little bit more, I guess, more developed intellectually or morally or emotionally, that they can help others, not because they have a good feeling about it, but because it's the right thing to do, because we're all connected as a social...
But I think that makes them feel good.
Well,
if it's the right thing
that's
to do,
the
it
byproduct.
resonates in their heart.
That's the byproduct. That's not the reason why you do something.
I notice as a byproduct, the more sort of charity and more things that I do to give of myself and give of my time and my resources, the more I recognize what comes in. You know what I mean? Maybe don't get more. I don't know if I go with the karma thing. I think it's more, I just simply recognize it.
Yeah, that's exactly part of it as well. I mean, you also recognize the fact that, it's kind of Aristotle a little bit, that virtue of happiness that he talks about. That happiness is the goal of life. And all these moral philosophies stem from that. But he also talked about, the virtues being good in and of themselves. It's good to be courageous. It's good to be loyal if you're a friend. It's good to be do these things because they're good in and of themselves. Because you derive happiness from it is, again, not the reason why you're doing it. You're doing it because they are good in and of themselves to do.
I think they make you feel good, though, when you do them.
Right.
Or are you doing them so other people think you look good?
Well, that's the big question.
Narcissistic side. So you want to keep the narcissism out, and you do it because it feels good.
Did your theme evolve from the characters? I mean, how did you come with this theme about the dangers of rescuing?
It came later. It came
You came up with the story first, and then you realized there was a theme here.
Came up with the characters first. The plot and the theme sort of, I think, emerged simultaneously. But I think there's two ways to figure out theme. When you're writing something, you either will decide you want to explore a theme and then you'll write a story that allows you to do that, or you'll be writing a story and you'll realize while you're writing it, oh, I'm writing about